Pledge of Allegiance, and it's going to be led by two students from the Woodrow Wilson School, Mackenzie and Victoria. If you could come to the mic. Okay. You guys all set? Okay, we're ready. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Great job, girls. Thank you so much. Now, if the clerk would call the roll, please.
Councilmember Archibald?
Here.
Councilmember Haremza?
Here.
Councilmember Lamb?
Here.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Here.
Councilmember Payton?
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Here.
Mayor Ashford?
Present. Council members, you have before you the regular council meeting of April 13th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald and supported by Councilmember Lamb. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. D.
Proclamation recognizing Saturday, May 9th as Letter Carriers Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive Day.
If the representative would meet me at the podium.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
How are you?
Blessed. Not even stressed.
Let's not stress, that's the way to be, honey.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, this is the City of Port Huron. This is a proclamation, and we do this every year. And because we do it every year, not mean that we just do it for form and fashion. We do it because we mean it. And this is a great thing that you continue to do for our city and our communities. It says, whereas hunger affects millions of people nationwide, including millions of children, seniors, and military veterans, and whereas food pantry shelves fill from winter holidays giving are often bare in the late spring, and whereas the letter carriers stamp out hunger food drive is just one example of how letter carriers work to make a difference in the lives of those they serve. And whereas since the pilot drive was held in 1993, more than 1.9 billion pounds of food have been collected, and whereas in the city of Port Huron in 2025, 63,000 pounds of donated food was collected locally by the letter carriers, and whereas this year hundreds of households in our country will struggle to provide enough food for their families, and whereas we recognize all letter carriers for their hard work and their commitment to their communities. And whereas all the food collected in our community, it stays in our community. And we support letter carriers' efforts to help those in need in our community. And whereas the National Association of Letter Carriers continues to work to end the challenges of hunger in the state of Michigan through its 32nd annual Stamp Out Hunger food drive. And whereas on May 9th, 2026, the second Saturday of May, letter carriers will collect food donations to be distributed to pantries and food banks at a much-needed time of year. Now, therefore, I, Anita R. Ashford, by authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Port Huron, and on behalf of council members Archibald, Haremza, Lamb, Mosherak, Payton, and Pemberton, do hereby proclaim the second Saturday in May as Letter Carrier Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive Day in Port Huron, and I urge all people in our city to join me in this special observance. In witness whereof, I do hereby set my hand and cause the corporate seal of the city of Port Huron to be affixed this 27th day of April, 2026.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, and thank you for all that you continue to do.
Thank you to the council and you for supporting our food drive. It's very important to us. Matter of fact, it's one of us letter carriers. Thank you, Mayor and council. It's one of the letter carriers' favorite day of the year. It's just another way that we can give back to our community. We know the need for the food, and it's one of the most important days to us, helping our community that we see every day on our routes. Thank you.
Thank you. And we also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge our city hall too. Our clerk's department, we just set a box out here, and so we got started before the session.
Oh, and thank you so much to the City Hall for starting ahead of us. Appreciate that very much. We appreciate all the blessings, city clerks and everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you. God bless you.
Okay. Number 2, presentation.
A presentation from Giffords Webster for the City of Port Huron's Marina Land Use Study.
They would come forth, and I didn't get your name, so.
Absolutely. I'm Andy Wakeland with Giffords Webster, one of the partners there, civil engineering background. I have with me Matt Schwanitz, a partner emeritus, kind of handles the land planning side. So we prepared this, I guess I'll start by saying thank you to council, mayor, and city manager for having us out here, and thank you to the staff, Jasmine, David, Brent, and Eric, for all the assistance that they gave us throughout this study. I think there was an RFP out in 2024 to do the study on the marina land use, and since then, you know, we put together boundary surveys, topo surveys, some concepts. We've done a lot of research, gone back and forth with staff, you know, kind of thinking through this as a what-if kind of project. You guys should have the report in your packet, but we prepared this quick little slideshow, just the highlights so that everybody can wrap their mind around it. So, well, let me go back. First, obviously, everybody probably already knows, but that's the area that we're talking about right here, River Street to the Black River and 10th to Glenwood. So it's this nice, about 7 acres worth of area. All right, so it is a zone community college district. It's very unique in that the CCD, as it's called, doesn't actually have zoning setbacks. It's more of a long-range development plan that guides this area. But as most development does, there's quite a few underground utilities right along River Street that essentially give the setbacks that you would be looking for anyway, due to water main utilities that you can't build over. So even though they're not specifically mentioned, they will exist. All right, going through the boundaries, like I said, the Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick did the boundary survey. There wasn't a title policy pulled for this project, but like I said, lots of records that we went through. They also did a topographic survey, so that from the surface level, so that we could marry that kind of to the GIS and look at the utilities that were underground. Felt that was sufficient to get us the concepts that you were looking for. Like I mentioned, the area is around 7 acres total. It has good access both from River Street and then the Black River Marina frontage as well. So elevation and utilities. I'm a civil engineer, so this is the exciting part for me. So from River Street right away, that's up at an elevation of 595, and down to the seawall, that's around 584. So you end up with around 11 feet of grade change. It's a narrow site, so that kind of makes it a challenge, but at the same time, that actually has a lot of opportunity depending on if it were to be developed, on the kind of development that you could do. The flood zone is limited to the current seawall. The water main, this is another challenge that I'll describe here, and then we can show you in just a minute. But per city records, there's actually a 20-inch water main that runs parallel to the River Street, and then it kind of bisects through the property, which makes it a little bit of a challenge. It wouldn't be likely that somebody would want to move that, but Possibly. The sanitary sewer in the area is intriguing. It's a 36-inch sanitary sewer that leads to a 42-inch. Those are very large sanitary sewers. Typically in a subdivision or a small street, you would have a 10-inch would service the entire area. The stormwater would be envisioned to basically be captured on site. So you'd pre-treat it, and then you would detain it on site, and then it would outlet to the Black River. Not far to go, but following the latest state standards, it should be treated and detained before it's sent out. Franchise utilities, obviously, electric, telephone, cable TV, they're all right there in the River Street frontage. And then we noted that the nautical themed lamp posts were pretty great. They're owned by the city. We would assume that any future development would kind of follow that theme. Here's some quick sketches that we did right at the beginning, just to kind of wrap our heads around the areas that we're working with. Right in here is that 20-inch water main that kind of bisects the site. So I kind of broke it down into the usable areas that could be used. On the right side, I kind of said, well, this is about the biggest area that I would expect that you could get. Say area A ends up with 1.7 acres, or area B is about 0.8, and area C is a little less than half an acre. It may be that really the area 2, 3, and 4 are the ones that make the most sense to develop if that were to go forward. So demolition, want to highlight this as well. During our study, the central fire station was actually demolished, so that opened up that area. I believe it was 4 that I just talked about. But as part of any future development, if that were to occur, along the Black River, the seawall, there's some tiebacks that hold that wall in place. Those go between 40 and 60 feet from the seawall into the property. It wasn't really defined what that, we'll call it a public right-of-way, would be considered along the Marina or the Black River frontage, but we assumed that it would be much larger than that. You wouldn't, and no one would want to touch those as part of a future development. And then we noted that River Street was reconstructed in 2017 and the pavement's in good condition, so wouldn't plan to redo that street if you didn't have to. Per the master plan from the old one, I know you guys are working on a new one, but the 2018 to 2022, that area is designated as multifamily on that future land use map. And then, let me just hop to my notes here. Per the master plan, it also recommends townhomes, high-rise condos, or lofts above commercial in that area. And then adjacent to the site, we have the seawall. Like I mentioned, the area directly along that seawall I wouldn't envision that to change ever, just because of those tiebacks. That would be a great endeavor. So there would still be some great public access along there. And then there, believe it or not, there are no actual public parks associated with the property. As we highlighted it, there is Haynes Park just across Glenwood Street, but just wanted to note that. This is kind of the really ugly topo that I look at all the time, but it's beautiful to me. So it shows you the contours so that you can see the 11 feet from the street down to the seawall. Shows you the existing parking lot, 2 existing parking lots, and at the time, the existing fire station. Again, we kind of married the surface topo with the underground GIS records, which came in beautifully. So, I mean, that just shows that there's quite a few utilities right along the street. And that's kind of the background. With that, I'm going to hand the mic over to Matt, and he can go through the concepts to show you what we kind of envision.
Good evening. Get to the next page, concepts. A couple of things that Andy mentioned. Make sure I got my pointer right? I'm the old guy here. There's a water main that comes through this area, but there's also a secondary water main, and that's the 20-inch there, as I recall. And then there's a secondary water main that comes through this tree grove in the frontage. On all these concepts, even though in areas, in Andy's land area sketch, he showed this area right here is potentially being developable. The fact is it's hemmed in with water mains. It would have to be a very unusual building. My preference would be you take advantage of the existing tree mass there. They're very mature trees. I think with minimum maintenance and pruning, you could really turn them into basically a key feature to give people a visual cue to the waterway. Basically a trailhead area right at the bridge. Makes all the sense in the world. And with minimal uplighting on the trees, it really could be a dynamic thing through reasonable hours of the night. I don't think we've had it illuminated all night, but most of these concepts, we're assuming we're going to leave that area alone, other than possibly some minor utility work or grading for stormwater. But to move a 20-inch main for that short reach, big project, it's a water pipe, yay big. It's basically a jet engine, and it's expensive to move. And if it's in good condition, you really don't want to toy with it. So we started right out of the gate with that as an assumption. First concept here is 32 units. We've got, and basically this is a conventional townhouse, attached row house, townhouse type concept. Front-loaded garages coming out of those units, 25 feet or so in width. Pretty much what you see in the market right now for a townhouse type unit. The nice thing about that 10 to 12 foot grade going across the property through the width of the tract is just a natural walkout. I don't think any of these would be a daylight window where the grade would be at this level. I think almost all of them would be true walkouts with door walls going out to the back, which could be very wonderful for the units and kind of energize the walkway along the boardwalk, or the walkway along the Marina area. And it would allow us to drop the grade reasonably through the building reaches. And I'm sure we could take care of the earth balance on that, but basically daylights all of those. What may happen in this particular concept, the driveways may be slightly longer than is conventional, a 30 or 35 foot walk or driveway. They may have to be a little deeper depending on where the physical utilities are. AEW provided a great survey to us, but they didn't expose any of the pipe within the easements. They worked off of record drawings, so some of those are deeper. It might be a design consideration to change the configuration of those driveways into maybe a parallel little horseshoe drive that they access, but that's to be found out later. That would be quite an expense for them to probe all those utilities at this level. But that would be the general concept. And reestablish the streetscape. We've got room between all of the driveways in this concept to reintroduce street trees, and we can certainly reutilize all the street lighting. There are plenty of companies that will not only relocate those, they'll look at them and rehab them if necessary at a nominal expense. We have to have utility easements through a lot of these reaches, and a lot of those are for existing utilities. Again, we don't want to move too many utilities, and we also don't want a bowling alley of buildings where it's very, very walled off, almost stark feel. So those breaks help. Also, one feature that's occurred since we started this, the road through the community college, has been terminated, abandoned, and they turn it into an open green or a via. So having a strong terminus of that, not dead on its angle, but nearby, really creates another great link into the river, another great view into the river, and the community college to be aware of. And that might be able to be a corridor that's strengthened through some improvements that benefit the community college as well as the Marina area. That's also the location of Edison switchgear, which are very expensive to move, that was not demoed with the fire station, as I recall. And another feature in oh yeah, that's the location. There's a little history on the property. I'll get to that in a minute, but actually we'll talk about it right now. This property appears, when you look at Sanborn maps, it had a brewery. So who knows what they did, when they did it, and how they demoed it. It also had a sawmill. I've only dealt with one brewery in my life, and that was when we redeveloped the old Stroh's Brewery downtown Detroit. I'm less concerned about the brewery. I'm a little more concerned about sawmills sometimes, because you don't know what they did with their material. But the site seems stable. It doesn't look like, somebody had dumped sawdust, had distributed organic material everywhere, because you generally see indications of it. But we didn't look into that. There was no geotech or environmental in it where we did borings to evaluate what's really going on undergrade. It seems undisturbed. A lot of times along river lines, you'll see concrete waste. That's a dumping ground if it was industrial, but it just doesn't have that hint here. And I think somebody would have known the legacy of that when they put in the retaining wall. Because it's not just the retaining wall, as Andy mentioned, there are tiebacks, there's rebars that go back in and screw into the grade. They probably would have found a few sins in there. So the main goal in this concept and many of the others is to still have, it's really a jewel of a property, still have a green space between the marina and whatever's developed. This one tightens up in a few spots, but it's actually rather ample. I think it would be a good complement to the sidewalk directly along the wharf. This little area beyond the cul-de-sac where the existing road was terminated, may be able to access that, but we've got an asterisk on this because we're not sure when the roads were vacated, whether there were proper instruments to grant easement rights to the remnant property that you guys own. That was an agreement between the city and the community college district. That's just something that's going to need to be chased down with either you or a buyer or some other entity looks at future use on this. You're going to do an abstract title and really look through all that thoroughly. That's a big effort, and that's a big expense. Probably not warranted at this time. And staff is very prudent on that. So this comes up with 32 units. They'd be two-story units from the street side. A typical walkout home, it's a three-story look on the walkout side, basically the basement area, which would be habitable. Put a bedroom in it because it's got egress. It would have that three-story type elevation, but relatively low density. And please, if you got questions, I'm used to getting peppered with them. I always prefer it. Let's go to the next. Oh, and before we get off of that, stormwater detention in this one, we would be squeezing in, which we usually do in townhouse projects like this, in between the units where there aren't utilities, and probably linear pipe buried, because all this is going to be, this concept would be all underground. And I didn't mention, these are really max out studies, the most we could get in without creating something that's off-putting. But you may want to back off of that, depending on expenses for underground detention or utilities that are found. But in this particular one, we prefer to get all the detention into these open space areas and maybe even in this central core area, depending on the volume we have to store. There's new state standards we have to observe. I don't think the staff can deviate from. But we're right at the river, right at the main water. Next concept, little denser. We're starting on the north end, and this is a combination of residential and non-residential, whether it's office, tech space, medical, university. We didn't go to that length. We simply parked it for that flexibility. What that space in the white buildings would be in terms of future use, market would have to provide for that. We did have a market study from the staff that was done and still pretty fresh. It seems to say there's some elbow room in the market for non-residential here. Whether that's your choice, whether that's a developer's choice, that's another matter. We wanted to do a test run to see how that might fit. This particular one, I'm spending Andy's money here. We've got a building over that 20-foot easement, but that being said, it's a 4-story habitable building. So there's a substantial amount of square footage in there, and that might allow a developer to afford relocating that 20-inch line. Parking would be in both of these. We'd have surface parking in these to accommodate all that, but we'd also have subgrade parking under each of these buildings. So those would be, the walkout would be for parking. So those would be dug down. It would be one level, so it's not extremely expensive. Structured parking in the state of Michigan most projects, it's really becoming expensive. I think it'd be $40,000-$50,000 per space. In this, it would be at grade with a building over it, so it's not an exotic structure that you're building. You're just building at grade parking with a building over it, but it's still an expense. And it's an expense to the building over it too. So it has to be temperature guarded for freezes. And there's a ton of environmental conditions you have to deal with that cold condition under that slab. It's not a big deal, but plenty of people do it, but it's an
Question,
expense.
Madam Mayor.
Excuse me?
I have a question for him.
Chair recognizes the manager.
So your parking here, does it account for the building uses, correct?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
The parking that you have in the design here, this accounts for the uses of the building?
Yeah, we're generally around 1 per 200, aren't you, on that one? More or less?
Yeah, I'll say that's, parking always depends on the final use, so it was hard to say. We kind of took the approach that said, well, if they were apartments, it'd be, 1,800 square foot. Per
Yeah, so I
apartment
get,
that goes-
yeah, I get the mathematical for coming up with the parking. My question is, it is our intention to maintain the marina operations. That's been the intention the entire time.
Yeah,
Maintain
that's
the
a good
waterfront, the
question.
marina operations, but nowhere on here do I see adequate parking for this is just a guessing, probably 100 boat slips. So where would those people?
Yeah, not only is it inadequate, it's non-existent. We did not replace that. We looked at this as a maxing plan. Any parking for the marina use, depending on the program you want to have, is going to take out buildings probably.
Okay, or alternative parking elsewhere.
Or that, or working on a deal with the community college, to work out a
Understood.
service. Are they overparked? Every time I've been there, somewhat, but the community college, they have to be careful what they're doing.
Well, the peak times for our marina are also the times when SE4 is out of season.
Yeah, so.
Okay, I just wanted to note
Had the
that.
same questions, the same catch, and that was the assumption we did out of the gate, just so you've got a feel for how far you can go if you go that far.
But
That being said, I think you want to accommodate some parking for the marina, absolutely.
But it doesn't exist right now, you're saying?
You've got parking there right now.
Yeah, that was-
But these concepts, we're getting rid of them to see how much we can fit in here.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Thank you.
somebody comes in, maybe goes a little higher in the buildings,
Mm-hmm.
builds a 2-level parking lot, maybe there's an accommodation there, but that's expensive public parking.
Next question.
That is expensive public parking. the
Okay.
construction.
Now,
Would you, so this is under the assumption that the highest and best use for the waterfront property isn't parking, correct?
Is not.
Okay. So it behooves us to find a way to move the waterfront parking to someplace that's not on the water.
I would totally agree with that, and an extra 150-foot walk from the community college district in lieu of putting a parking lot against this jewel.
150-foot walk with 224 cases of beer is pretty far for a boat. Okay, get a wagon, all right.
I agree. I spent the whole weekend with my grandkids.
Okay.
We were walking a lot downtown, as a matter of fact. And again, on this concept, we're showing mixed-use buildings on the northern end, northwestern end, southwestern end, same townhouse units, same asterisk on that southeasterly piece, whether we can get adequate access. We can probably squeeze into the cul-de-sac or roundabout on those, but the design solution's kind of funky. It would be better if we could direct access into the existing pavement that's there, and you may have those rights already. We didn't see a clear document on that. We actually had a use restriction that staff spent a lot of time hunting it down. We'd spotted in the deed restrictions that this was, the site was restricted to public use, basically. But that was released. 2016, that was released. So that quieted that issue. Next concept. Okay, this concept, we pulled the mixed-use buildings totally away from the northerly, I like to call it the trailhead. I think this is really a neat piece. And so again, we're showing 4-story buildings, more of them, with, and they would all be walkouts. Wherever we do it, I didn't mention it in the other concepts. Let me finish this up, but I do want to talk about that. These would be walkout structures. The bottom levels, again, would be parking lots, not living space. So you'd have a walkout structured parking facility. So whoever developed this would really need to figure out how they're going to screen that, how it's compatible with the residences across the way. You don't want it to be a stark parking garage, shadow line, you see cars at night, headlights coming in. That would want to be a screened space. And I would say, a softer residential kind of look to that, or something that accommodates the building above and reflects what they're doing there. But again, we're showing Central Park here at the terminus of the road. We've strengthened that back to what the townhouse concept at the trailhead. And then we're back to the townhouse concept down in this area. This little tail here isn't going to lend itself easily to anything other than residential development. Between parking, office space, access, you just don't quite have enough room to deal with it. And I was going to go back to, actually this one would be the best. A parking lot like this, because of that grade, we talked about that 10 to 14-foot grade. This particular one here, that would have to have a retaining wall on it. There's no way we could tip it to a point where we're meeting the grade is going down. So it's going to need to stay elevated up. It's basically a tabletop. So there's a considerable expense in putting a retaining wall on that, especially if the soil, there's minor soil issues that might have to be mitigated with foundations. But that riverside would be a pretty, at least a 10-foot, probably maybe 7 or 8 feet retaining wall. So that would require some thought too, if they were going to do it. What's that look like from the river? What's it look like from the residences across the way? You wouldn't want to just do a gravity block wall going up. You'd want something that's much more suitable and fits with a park-like feel. And I think that's about it. I'll take any questions you all want. It's a great piece of land.
Yeah, I'm sure we got a great, we got, I just want to hold off the questions just have a second. Jasmine and David, can you come, we got a lot of information and we kept up with them, but for the ones that are out there, they're seeing, so they'll know what we're talking about, can you give them just a highlight of what we're talking about here? How we got to where we are with the engineers?
There's only one engineer here.
Okay, yeah, I just want them to feel what we're talking about. You can look at something and we got all this other stuff, but what are we really talking about? I want to make a connection here.
Yeah, as you might recall, when the idea was coming forward that the fire hall was going to be taken down, the thought was what would be the future of that land and actually the surrounding land. And from that, we developed the RFP that went out for a request for a consultant to come forward to bring ideas of what that reuse might look like. And that was back in 2024. And from that, they came forward, worked with our team, worked with the engineering team, came up with these concepts. Again, they're just ideas. They're not etched in stone, but it's an opportunity for at least to think and envision what possibly could go there and then put some meat to that and what that might look like. Jasmine?
So we're looking at this as an opportunity to enhance that area that has become available after the tearing down of the fire station. So,
Madam Mayor.
do you want?
So it's very important to note that before any development would take place, because this is waterfront property, it would need to go to a vote of the citizens of Port Huron. And so what we anticipate doing over the course of the next year is to do a lot of community engagement sessions to go over this report, to educate the public on what the opportunities are and what the options are. I think the biggest concern I have is how we're going to educate the public to let them, to reaffirm so that they know that we would always be maintaining the waterfront for public access. In comparison, when they did Dockside, there was no public access established there. That would not be the case here. We would continue to own a city-operated marina, and we would continue to control that property so the citizens could traverse up and down the Black River unimpeded as they do now. So we'll do a community engagement series to educate the public on what the options are. Then after that, I would develop a request for proposals to solicit to developers who, if they had the opportunity, would develop that property into residential units. Once a developer has a sound proposal, we would bring it to the mayor and council for review. At that time, the mayor and council could decide to place the question before the voters. And the reason why that's important is if we go to the voters right now and say, yes or no, can we develop the property? The automatic question is, well, which proposal are you going to go with? Which one are you going to do? And so what I would like to have is a proposal in hand of what would be built from a reputable developer that we could go to the public and say, yes or no on this specific design and proposal. I think that's all but fair to give the citizens that information before asking such an important question of our downtown. So this will take some time for the mayor and council to deliberate on proposals and what they want to do. And then ultimately, before anything is done, the citizens of Port Huron will have a referendum on what they want to do with their waterfront.
And of course, that's in partnership with the SC4, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. But again, we own the land, so we appreciate SC4, but ultimately it's the public's land.
But ultimately, they still a partner in him.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I was trying to establish. Thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page as much as we can get in there, because it's almost like talking a different language. Yeah, but thank you so much, David and Jasmine. Great job. Okay, now the floor is open for the council. You have any, I see you.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but every proposal has different parking scenarios, and I'm not for having more parking along that prime real estate, but how many do we have right now in that area? I was just trying to weigh in my mind when you're talking slips.
I want to say off the record 38.
38?
Don't hold me to it.
It's something like that. It's under 40. I honestly don't recall.
Yeah, so I guess to
Started my 8th decade, so those kind of things I forget now.
Yeah, and to that point, I was just looking at that spot because we were talking, you went into the conversation about, parking for the marina, but in almost every scenario but the one, it looks like we'd have more parking. Obviously, you'd have residential. So I was just I didn't think there was that much parking to start with.
Andy's eyeballing it, might be 30.
Yeah, perfect.
It's in that range.
Okay, Chair recognizes, did you finish it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Chair recognizes the manager.
Yeah, I recognize, I made a joke about carrying 2 cases of beer, but it wasn't really a joke. With all the slips and marinas down there, there's a lot of goods, and people live on their boats in the summertime, and so any parking solution that would have to support the marina operations, because that's as we all know, it's a huge draw. Most people who are in our marina don't live here. They're tourists who come, and so having easy access so they can traverse with their goods is critically important, especially because a lot of our downtown businesses supply those boats, so it's a kind of economic jolt in the arm. But yeah, any development we do, we would have to find a parking solution.
Correct. And in every scenario, except maybe the one, there's already that many parking or more, so. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or concerns that you want to? Okay. I have one. Right here on page 10, when you said a title policy was not provided as part of this study, and why not?
We proposed one. I think the staff can answer that, but it is an expense. They're doing a detailed abstract of anything that's been recorded on this property, and any exceptions to the title policy that they draft are enumerated. And if they can be drawn, that's what an ALTA survey is. If there are any exceptions in that policy, we would be showing them on that, whether it's an easement, an encumbrance, a deed restriction. There are countless items in there, or an old fence line that was there that had to be respected and it's not there anymore. What's that mean? Vacation of a easement or right-of-way. It's an expensive exercise from a drafting title policy, at least preliminary draft, you're paying the title company for that, and survey, because if there are easements shown or other encumbrances that we could show, or actually it was AEW who did the base topo, they'd have to look at that, and if they can show it in the field or figure out where it is in the field, they have to draw it. That's all part of it.
Oh, okay.
Any developer is going to go through that expense.
Oh, okay. And then lastly, I guess a key element would be the environmental aspect of all this, because that can definitely change things because of the previous owners. Could you address that?
So with the environmental, that's kind of like the title policy, right? You could do it now, but you could also do it later. The developer could basically do that because there's different levels based upon what they want to build. If they want to build housing, it's a very high level. If they wanted to do office, it's actually a lower level. If you want to do a warehouse, there's a level, but it's not as high. So we just kind of said, why spend that expense right now when you don't even know where the building is going to go? That's when you would really want to do that.
And also, gentlemen, I could appreciate where you had a part for us, that we're really concerned about our trees and everything, and what the council can do if it does ever come to this, as to the woodland ordinance that you implemented in here.
The only significant trees are up here on the northern reach. There are a few others scattered through.
Yeah.
In these concepts, it's very dense. They'd be removed through the body of the project, but up the trailhead, we suggest those are actually curated.
Right.
Chance, pruned out, lit, turned into a feature. The rest have to be removed, but we're suggesting in all these concepts, so there's a significant landscape.
That front part of that easement, on that front part?
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, on the front part of the.
Actually, they're scattered throughout. They're around the old fire station. They're still there, around the old parking lot. Let me trace these for you. Is it the first slide? There it is. So you see here, most of these are going to have to go, though this mass by I'll call it the Harbor Masters area, and where that switch gear is, those could probably be preserved on all these, including the ones that I've been strongly suggesting we save.
Oh, okay.
You do want to evaluate them too, to see if they're worth saving.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of champions in there that are, I don't think we have any 50 or 40-inch trees, but even though those are the great ones, when you do a coring of them, you find out clocks ticking. You know, they don't have much time left, but most of them are mature and relatively healthy. None of them are transplantable. They're way too big for that. So it'd be, in the landscape plan, you'd be accommodating all that removal with replacement.
Okay, well, thank you, great job, and actually read through all this, good job.
You didn't fall asleep.
No, I didn't.
Andy wrote it. I'm asking because Andy wrote it.
Oh, Andy wrote it. Now, you just don't have an option, because one thing kept leading to the other, and you just had to know, because it connected. You did that by design, didn't you? Yeah. It's the best way to present it.
But it really is a gem. It's a great piece.
Yeah.
And I know you guys will be careful when you get it.
It's a great opportunity for the city also. Yeah. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to public comment. Okay, so this is a time that city residents or business owners, speakers may address the city council on any agenda item or any matter under the city's jurisdictions, and you are allotted 1 4-minute opportunity to make your comments. So if anybody wishing to address the city council meeting tonight.
Aaron?
Aaron Connor, 109 Taylor Street. Speaking to the cluster of trees up there that you'd like to save, part of the reforestation committee, actually all the trees are being surveyed right now, so you'll know which trees are good and which ones are bad under that survey. So, and the only other thing I had was, if you want a tree, call the city. You can get up to 2 trees. It doesn't have to be a big oak tree. It can be a small tree. There's all kinds of trees. Encourage everybody to get a tree if they want one, or 2. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Ralph?
My name is Ralph Polovich. I live at the corner of 18th and Union. I've been there 68 years. I watch these proceedings on television a lot because it's hard for me to get out a lot of the times. But I'm impressed with how many times people are very critical of your deliberations. And that bothers me, because you guys are here because you have a deep interest in our community, and I thank you for that. I'm particularly happy with the city's stance regarding trees. When you made your presentation about the free tree program, I applied the next day, and within a short time, city crew, or the tree people showed up at my yard and planted a very tall maple tree that is just now leafing out. And I appreciate what you do. That is foresighted, and I appreciate the forestry division for their foresight. And thank you for approving that proposal. One thing that troubles me watching you deliberate on television is how many times people show disrespect to you. I Googled men's hats etiquette on the internet, and it says, first off, men should wear their hats outside, and when they come inside, they should remove their hats. It's a matter of respect. And so many times people stand here and preach at you, yell at you sometimes, and I think that's disrespectful in the first place. And the Google also says it's a gesture of respect, courtesy, and humility to remove your hats. Now, I understand in some cultures, like Jewish traditions and maybe Muslim traditions, it's customary for men to wear their hats all the time. But none of our folks here are wearing hats, and I'm not wearing one either. And women are exempted from that, by the way. Thanks. Just so we understand. I respect what you do, and I wish more people did by common etiquette. And thank you very much for listening to my blather.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Our next speaker is Trash.
Hello, it's Trash. I am wearing a hat today because I washed my hair the other day and it's too clean, so I'm not going to show it to you. I just want to talk about 24th Street because it's my haunt and it's important to me and it's important to the city. Just if you're not around 24th Street a lot, which I understand when you kind of explain, it is a main artery for the city next to South Side. Now, the only crossing for the railroad, the closest one, is 16th Street, which is about a half mile away from 24th Street. Just for the high school alone, let's just talk about the children, because people love children. If that is not a passageway for pedestrians underneath that train structure, that means that if a teenager lives on the south side of that train bridge, they would have to walk a half mile to 16th Street, cross, walk another half mile back. That's just to get to 4th Street. And then there's another about half mile to, I think, a 3/4 mile from the bridge to the high school. The fact of the matter is, whether it's recognized as a pedestrian pathway or not, it is a pathway, a very dangerous one. What's interesting, if it's not considered a pathway, there is sidewalk on both sides that just kind of stop, and then there's mud, and then there's sidewalk again. So I guess, we're looking at future plans for development and stuff like that, which is great. But I think that we need to really be investing our time in what are we going to do to make the streets safer for pedestrians, right? There's a lot of things that we can do. More street lights, right? There's silly things too, which I've been noticing as I've been walking around, like coming down, I think it's Griswold. There's a couple of streets where the stop sign is on the other side of the crosswalk. So which makes more sense to have it in front of the crosswalk for safety purpose. Just silly things like that. But 24th Street is important for your city. I know it's the south side, so for some people it's just out of mind, but especially when we have a school located there. And I mentioned before that there's areas on 24th Street that don't even have sidewalks. Like right in front of the high school, there's no sidewalk, which means everyone has to pass through the parking lot of the high school, which is it's not safe. I think that pedestrians, bicyclists ought to be prioritized. You have a lot of people within your community that get around using those means. So anything that we can do to make it safer for our people who are not in vehicles is extremely important. It would show that you care about that side of the city, and I think that you taking pride within that side of the city would also make that side of the city take pride in itself. That's one thing. Real quick. Oh, no, bye.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Perry.
Hello, my name is Perry White. I live in the city of Port Huron, and it's a beautiful city. And I notice there's a common theme tonight going around. We're talking about beautification of the city. I want to first thank everybody on the city board and mayor for being here tonight, listening to me, and along with everybody
Excuse me, sir,
in this room.
you're just supposed to come and address the council.
Oh, council, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No,
Well, I want to appreciate everybody that's here,
I
because
know,
all of us
but-
have the...
You appreciate us first. You're talking to us, and you don't listen.
Okay, well, I apologize. Okay, I want to thank everybody anyhow. All right, a little nervous, don't get me wrong.
No, you're fine.
What I want to talk about is, I live and represent the 1200 block of Cedar. We have a situation going on where we have a house that, God forbid, and we apologize, and the God took a great neighbor of ours away, and he's been gone for about 5-6 years now. His house has been abandoned, and it is a disgrace. They've been ticketed numerous times for blight. I was here the other day for a blight meeting on this, and nobody knows who the owner is. But yet, we can't tell anything and can't do anything because whoever is paying the taxes, they pay it 1 year at a time, so it doesn't go into tax foreclosure. But the gutters are hanging off. We have rodents in the neighborhood coming in and out of the house, foul stenches, safety issues. I didn't even start talking about safety. I've chased many illegal activities going on in that house, in that property. I've chased people out of there. It's boarded up now. I have called the police multiple times. Unfortunately, they have more things to do than to listen to me squawk about an abandoned house. Also, safety for our children. With the house being abandoned, we've had homeless people there. We've had kids running out through the property, going in and out and everything. It's really bad right now. It's actually an embarrassment for the city. To be honest with you, it is. We want people to come to this city, and we want them to look upon our city, how beautiful it is. We want to invite them in. But if they're driving by and they see an abandoned house and it's overgrown, what are they thinking about this city? Really, what are they doing? We need to address this situation. I'm not trying to pick on anybody or anything. I just want to get it dealt with. I have been trying to make plans, honestly, because I don't want to live next to this, and neither does my neighbors. And I may end up moving out of this city, which I love and care for gratefully and respectfully, because I don't want to live in this anymore. I have 3 young children that I adopted, and I want to make sure their safety and well-being is taken care of. So what I'm asking out of the city board tonight and everybody is think about this, and I'll be back at the next meeting to talk some more about it. 4 minutes is not enough time to go through everything I want to discuss, but I just want to bring it to everybody's attention. Drive by my neighborhood, please, and look at this house, and tell me what you think. Would you want to live next to it? Thank you very much, and appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Crystal?
I want to start by saying that James Freed blocked me on his LinkedIn, which if you look up James Freed on Google, it just says city manager, City of Port Huron. And second link down is James Freed, LinkedIn, City of Port Huron. I now click on that link, and it says, page does not exist, which is right there. I have all of the screenshots from before James blocked me. And James Freed not only was using this at LinkedIn for personal, which it states personal, but also uses it for city affairs, as it states city manager, City of Port Huron. I wrote a demand letter dated April 24th, 2026, which states James Freed.
Crystal?
Can you stop my time?
Stop the time. I just want to tell you, if you have anything associated with the agenda item, but when it becomes personal, I'll look this up.
Anything in the city agenda?
It's not on the agenda.
Or any
to be
city
personal.
affairs that concerns the jurisdiction?
I checked it out because I was.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll move on from that. Okay, but this,
He said just to let you finish, so you go ahead. Go ahead with your line.
thank you.
Okay.
I'm asking for a formal apology and to unblock me. You can send that formal apology, it states on that. I delivered this letter, City Council, to James Freed on Friday. I want to make you aware of this. That's Linky versus Freed, Supreme Court case. We all are aware of that. And as far as, an investigation, I've still yet to hear from that, as you all received an email regarding me into stalking officers while they were off duty. And Mr. Freed made a comment on public record, and he stated that I stated during a meeting that I followed an officer off duty. I did not state that, as what I stated was, I have a video of your officers leaving the city on highway. That was a Port Huron police vehicle. And I will be running for city council this November, so I hope to see all of you guys up there. We're doing a recall petition for Terry Lamb and Sherry Archibald, and anybody else if we feel fit. I see what's been going on behind the eyes of the Port Huron residents. The money that's flowing out, the corruption in the system, the many lies being told, cover-ups being done, and all of the yeses coming from our city council. Well, I'm here to bring change and actually listen to the people. I won't vote yes just because everyone else does. I'm not a yes man. So I'm here to say that I'm going to start bringing no's to what I feel is wrong and unnecessary for the city of Port Huron residents. Because I have been a resident here most of my life. I left for maybe 3 years, but I'm right back at home. And I'm here to serve and protect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Tanya?
So do I have to state where I live? Or do you guys just
No.
go like that? All right. Well, I've been in Port Huron for 15 years. Same place? Same place. For 15 years. And I've watched the city fall. I've watched it fall. And in specific relations to the animals here. The animals. Most of you probably don't even care, just turn a blind eye to some animal laying in the road. But what you don't realize, that could be someone's fur baby that just got hit. And people are not stopping. You don't know what you hit, you have to stop. Griswold Street is a racetrack. 10th to 16th is a racetrack. You can hear them at 7th Street rubbing their edges before they fly down. I have picked up 15 so far, fur babies on the road. And another thing, yeah, Michigan's a free roaming state for cats. But exactly when does abandonment law come into play? when we have clear evidence of abandonment, present it to the animal control officer, only for this specific cat to be redumped 2 doors down, 2 streets down from where he was picked up. At what point does that become an issue too? Because I literally have 2 cases where I can tell you, literally, that one is a clear abandonment. Right, given right to the officer, clear abandonment. Facts, right in front of him. All that woman got was clearly a ticket, just had to sign a surrender to the animal control, to surrender the cat. Now that may not seem like enough to you, and no, it's just a cat, but they feel. They feel pain, they feel hunger, and they're more reliable to me than any of you. They've been there more for me than any of you have in the last 15 years I've been here. But I've watched it fall. The amount of animals and the audacity in which this county has become related to the animals, yeah, you put yourselves on the map. But not for what you think. Not for what you think. Clear as day, last Thursday, Sheriff's Department shot another dog. During the committee meeting that we were having that Thursday, they went into a home and shot a dog. So that's the 3rd dog, in case you're not keeping up, because last year, a year ago, and I know they encrypted the scanner. Good job. I don't care. I heard the call go out when they shot that dog, the Sheriff's Department, and they left his body there. Or referring to the incident on December 13th, involving the dog that clearly was in complete fear for its life. Drugged behind a building and shot. For what reason? Yeah, it bit somebody, okay? But these officers are untrained. Untrained, and then you want to put them in control of our animals? Be ready for a riot. Be ready. Because I stand here for them. I don't care if any of you like me. I don't care. Because when I go home, all that matters to me is what is waiting at my door. And they're my responsibility, and I'm not going to sit here and just keep watching the animals be so abused and neglected in this city. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And you guys go, oh yeah, let's destroy more land. Where do you think the animals are going to go where you destroy their land? Where are they going? People's backyards. What's happening to them? They're getting shot. Yeah, let's go tear up more land, everybody. And then we've got a rodent problem in the city, and then people want to play about that. But exactly where, though, do we draw the line with abandonment? 2 cases. And then literally one, I got threatened that they were going to take my dogs, or they were going to take me to jail if I defended my home against this dog, this cat, who was being aggressive, but not because he was sick. He was sick, he had frostbite on his ears, his equilibrium was off, his head was tilted, and he was down to the ground. I can clear as day tell you that's an equilibrium problem with his ears. And that day, animal control came and picked him up. Took him down there, supposedly, and then redumped him. And then that's when I started getting threatened because the cat would not leave.
Your time is up.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Yep.
So our last speaker was Jonathan, but I believe he left.
Okay. Our next item, F.
City Manager's report and comment.
This is an issue that is extremely important to not only myself, the mayor, Terry Lamb has worked extensively with CN Rail. The rail viaduct is actually controlled by 2 different rail lines, CN and CX. So anything that we're going to do at that viaduct has to be in partnership with 2 of them. And it's really difficult to get a return phone call from just one of them. Terry's been hounding them for months now, and she's actually making pretty good progress. There is a misnomer that 24th Street is actually not in the city. Our jurisdiction stops at the road right away on the east side of 24th Street. The funding and jurisdiction for 24th Street falls under the township and the St. Clair County Road Commission. So we have no legal right to change that road, to augment that road, or to do anything with the pathways. However, with that said, I have worked, our engineering team has been in contact with the Road Commission and the township on any possible solutions, although outside of our jurisdiction that they can do. It's clearly a path that people use. In my morning walks, I'm down there about a couple times around 6 and 7 in the morning. You see a lot of people who bike and walk to work, and getting under that pathway is not easy at all. However, that pathway and that space is not in the city, and I have no jurisdiction over it. One of the challenges is there's actually not enough road right-of-way within that space of land to build a proper sidewalk. So one of the things that would have to be done is some type of road diet. But again, it's not within the city, but we are continuing to work on that. And so you are right to bring attention to it. It's very important. Mayor Ashford, we met, gosh, was it before COVID? So 5 years ago, you started working on this. 5 years ago, we started working on this. Just real quick as well, in regards to my personal social media. This is important. There is a lot of misinformation on there. Let me be very clear. My personal social media is my personal social media. It actually has a big disclaimer on it, just for those who are confused, personal account. The Supreme Court decision referenced Linke v. Freed directly supports my position. The courts have expressly recognized that public officials retain their personal constitutional rights, including the First Amendment rights to control the speech on their personal media platforms. As stated by the United States Supreme Court, state officials have private lives of their own, constitutional rights, including the First Amendment right to speak about their jobs, exercise editorial control over speech and speakers on their personal platform. Here, Freed acted in his private capacity when he blocked Linke and deleted his comments. He did not violate Mr. Linke's First Amendment rights. Instead, he exercised his own rights. That's from the majority opinion. The majority of the court further confirmed Freed did not relinquish his First Amendment rights when he became city manager. On the contrary, First Amendment protects public employee rights and in certain circumstances to speak as a citizen addressing the matters of public concern. I too have a right to public speech. There's been a lot of misinformation about the Linke case, but it actually reaffirmed our position that I have a right to a private life. I have a right to protect my family from convicted felon drug traffickers. And in light of this clear authority, I will continue to exercise my right with respect to my social media accounts, including in maintaining the blocking of their accounts. I have a right to protect my family. You have my written report for the rest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next.
The consent agenda?
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald and supported by Councilmember Moserat. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Moserat?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. The consent agenda is, oh, what was that? I thought I was a ventriloquist up here for a minute. Okay, under communications and petitions, we have one, receive and file notification that Janet Hazard has been appointed by the mayor to the Traffic Study Committee with a term to expire April 27, 2028. And under our resolutions, there are 4. Resolution number 5, receiving the proposed capital improvement program and scheduling a public hearing for May the 11th, 2026 to hear public comments from interested citizens on the proposed capital improvement program. Resolution number 6, receiving the proposed 2026-2027 Downtown Development Authority budget and scheduling a public hearing for May the 11th, 2026 to hear public comments from interested citizens on the proposed budget. Resolution number 7, authorizing distribution of the proposed draft master plan to the public and adjacent communities for their review and comments as outlined in the Michigan Planning Enabling Act of 2008. Resolution number 8, approving the scheduling of a public hearing for May 11th, 2026 to hear comments on the, Fed Building Brownfield Plan for 1635 Poplar Street. And under ordinance, we have one, ordinance number 26-001. It reads, second reading and enactment, an ordinance to amend Chapter 52 Zoning, Article 3, District Regulations, Division 1, generally Section 52-162 map of the Port Huron Code of Ordinances to rezone the property generally described as 2213 Bancroft Street from an M1 zoning district, light industrial district, to an R1 zoning district, single and two-family residential district. That is your consent agenda. And now we will go back to, from the city manager, number 1.
Accepting the bid from Trojan Development Company Incorporated in the amount of $335,000 for the raw water intake valve replacement project located at the water filtration plant.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Mosrak and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
Councilmember Lamb.
Oh, it was Lamb this time? Okay. Lamb. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
There were 2 intake valves at the water plant. They were both put in about 1920. In 2025, we replaced the one on the east side. This is to replace the other one, originally from 1920. It's a budgeted item. We had budgeted $750,000, but the low bid came in 65% less at $335,000.
Any more? Oh, any discussion?
No, sorry.
Or is it secret, huh? Okay. Any discussion on this one? I just have a few questions on this one. How often do we change these valves? Is it?
Well, this is original from 1920, so not very often.
So,
Yep.
that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Well, what took us so long? That's the point.
Yeah, we replaced one in 2025, and this one's stuck open, so we replaced this one, but they last a really long time, and it's credit to the valve exercising program we have.
Oh, okay.
So if you exercise a valve, we do it all around the city for water mains. It helps make sure it preserves the lifespan.
Is this budgeted?
Yes, $750,000, and it came in at $335,000.
Okay, great, okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford.
Yes. From the city manager, 2.
Accepting the quote from Wolverine Power Systems in the amount of $66,292 for a Generac portable generator for use at various sanitary pump stations.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lamb.
Support.
Second by Councilmember Pemberton. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor, again, we're replacing our backup generators. When the power goes out, the water and sewage needs to keep going. That's what we use these for. This was a budgeted item at $126,000. We budgeted through Sourcewell. Our low bid was $66,292. So again, well under budget.
Oh, okay. Do we plan, we got 13 pumps, correct?
Yeah, but I don't think we have all 13 backups. We just have a few for what we need.
Just
them,
a few?
Yep.
And this meets that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. As in a few, I think we have I'll get the quote, but I think it's 8 or 9.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford.
Yes. From the city manager, number 3.
Accepting the quote from Dependable Heating, Cooling, and Refrigeration Incorporated in the amount of $31,850 for the Thickner Building Makeup Air Unit Replacement at the wastewater treatment plant.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald
Support.
and supported by Councilmember Mosrak. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford.
Yes. From the city manager, 4.
Accepting the quote from Phoenix Safety Outfitters in the amount of $411,485 for 33 self-containing breathing apparatus units with spare air cylinders and associated equipment for use by the fire department.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Mosrak and
Support.
second by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to have Chief Nicholson speak to this.
Oh, I didn't know he was here.
Mayor and Council, the Fire Department is requesting authorization to to replace the SCBA fleet within the fire department. I've got a short presentation. I'll take any questions you have afterwards. So an SCBA is a self-contained breathing apparatus, also known as an air pack. The fire department's current fleet was purchased back in 2015, so we've got 11 years of frontline service in our current SCBA allotment. That pack, which we wear now, is the Scott AP75, which was built to the then current standard in 2013. So in general, these air packs provide anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes of breathing air to fire department members operating in hazardous atmospheres. And there's also a built-in reserve escape capacity of approximately 15 minutes. So your city firefighters wear these at working fires and during carbon monoxide incidents, gas leaks, oxygen deficient, and within toxic atmospheres. So this fleet also includes our extended duration hazmat packs, which are 60-minute duration units, all of our confined space equipment, which we wear in conjunction with supplied airlines for entry into confined spaces, and also something called a RIT pack. And RIT packs are carried on all the frontline fire apparatus, which we would use in the case of a downed or lost firefighter inside of a structure to provide them with additional breathing air until we could get them out. The current fleet, like I said, is 11 years old. We're starting to experience increased malfunctions, and that's normal wear and tear. That's something we experienced with the AP75s during the last replacement cycle. So the things we're seeing now are electronic failures in some of the computer components that monitor air pressure. We've had some mechanical failures in the pneumatic fittings and other components. And we're seeing that typical heat and wear damage from interior firefighting operations. Right now, we're seeing those deficiencies during our checks, and those occur daily, weekly, and after every fire. So now is the time to replace these units, not when they're stepping off the rig at 3 in the morning, not when they're in the hallway, in a smoke-filled hallway on their hands and knees. Now is the time to replace these units. So this is a typical example of what happens in typical fire service use. You see some asphalt, aluminum drippings on these shoulder straps. You see all the extended heat and smoke damage to some of these metal and plastic components. And you see a lot of the mask and soft goods get damaged as well and smoke stained. And with those repeated heat cycles, the plastic pieces become embrittled, the rubber becomes degraded, and eventually they could become less and less reliable. Again, we've done this before. This is my 8th air pack in 28 years of fire service experience, and 4 within the city. So none of this is unexpected. This is just the nature of the job. So a committee was formed last year in 2025 to prepare for this fleet replacement. We evaluated several manufacturers. These field evaluations included evaluations for functionality and ergonomics, durability, the warranty coverage and actual parts availability. That became apparent during the COVID era as far as all the fire service equipment. One of the big things is our ability to decontaminate these units. So right now, if you look at some of those past pictures, all of the soft components, the padding, it's all built into the pack. So what we're looking for is that something could be disassembled down to the bare pack frame and probably decontaminated from carcinogens. And we also took comments from existing users and departments. So at the end of this evaluation, the Draeger Air Boss was recommended by the SCBA committee. This will include replacement of not only the SCBAs, but all the RIT team equipment and the confined space packs. This series will be built to the new NFPA 1970 standards, so this encompasses all the PPE equipment. In the past, the safety items were all built on separate standards, but now the air packs, fire helmets, the pass devices, which is a movement detector within the air pack, they're all established to a standard as a unit. So these new air packs have the same breathing air capacity as the current fleet, but there have been some improvements in how the low air warnings are calculated. They've made improvements on how well the air pack supplies air to someone under high workload. This is pretty important. They've updated the heat and flame testing. There's a repeated thermal cycling and repeated radiant heat application, especially the face piece. The face piece is probably the most delicate, vulnerable piece on the air pack. And you can imagine that's probably the last place you'd want to get burned is your face. But under high heat conditions, the mask, the material you see through actually softens. And you go to wipe condensation or smoke sooting off, we've had instances of people's fingers soaking into the actual plastic. So that's a bad day. They've also adopted updated electronics, durability, and performance. That's a problem that we ran into 10 years ago, is they instituted a lot of electronics upgrades, but they didn't have the matching durability to go with it. And when you're trying to get a decade out of a piece of equipment, that durability becomes important at the tail end of the lifespan. This is a couple images of what we're going to be looking at. Like I said, it's a lot of upgrades, a lot of proven upgrades. Draeger is the largest SCBA manufacturer worldwide. So I have high confidence we're going to see some good results with these air packs. With your approval, we're expecting delivery in June of 2026. We're going to have about a month and a half of onboarding, fit testing, items like that. These units have a 15-year warranty and a 15-year service life on the cylinders. So we'll hopefully have an air pack that will serve us into the 2040s. Okay, any questions?
Any questions? I don't have any. Anybody have, okay, I don't have any question, but I do have a comment. I think you made your case beautifully. And when it comes, it's kind of hard not to grant you, our first responders, whether you're the police or whatever the capacity that is that you need the right equipment to do the job. And this is critical, this piece of equipment that you are asking us to okay here for you, and I just think it's well worth it. So I just encourage everybody else to have the same feeling up here. So I guess did anybody have any questions? So
Madam Mayor.
Oh, did you have?
Yeah, I just would note, I would like the way Chief Nicholson goes about making very large decisions. He mentioned a committee. He didn't have to do that. When we built our fire engine, he had a committee for that. So Chief, you do an excellent job making sure voices within your ranks are at the table when you make these big decisions.
I don't get to ride backwards anymore, and I don't get to go in, so that's who should be making the decisions on a lot of these equipment choices.
No, you definitely needed an upgrade, So, roll call.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Okay, where are we on? Resolution number
5.
Number 5, from the city manager, from the city manager, 2618.
Accepting the unit price bid from Metro Markings LLC in the estimated amount of $48,494 for city pavement marking services of those crosswalks, stop bars, arrows, and other markings.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Pemberton.
Support.
Second by Councilmember Lamb. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor, we are going to make a strong push to increase the markings around schools this season. And so they will see a lot of enhanced crosswalks around schools. That'll be a huge target area with this as well.
Okay, not only schools, but the regular roads?
Absolutely, but I want to do
Okay,
a stronger emphasis around
on
schools. I know we had a few public comments over the years about the crosswalks fading around schools. They were fair criticism, and we're going to get that taken care of.
Mhm. No problem. I just want to make sure inclusion was at the table. Okay, so, you ready to vote?
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. From the city manager, number 6.
Accepting a unit price bid from M&M Pavement Markings in the estimated amount of $31,610.80 for city pavement striping services.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Mosrak and second by
Support.
Councilmember Lamb. Archibald. Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Okay.
Madam Mayor?
Oh, you got some comments?
Yeah, I would just note that the reason why we bid these specific contracts separately is because they require different equipment between long linear runs and then doing the markings. So we split the bid up. It allows some of the smaller folks to have a shot at some city work because they don't require the big trucks. But that's why we split these two painting contracts up.
Oh, okay. And I see you made that very specific in the thinking.
Yep.
Okay, because one says, pavement marking, the other one is the metro, where the crosswalks and stops and bars. So it's always good to be intentional.
Yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Now we will go to item J under resolutions, resolution number 1.
Approving the agreement with Tetra Tech of Michigan PC for professional engineering services for improvements and replacement of the thickener tanks at the wastewater treatment plant.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by, was it Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb is supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor and Council, this was a budgeted item. The contract amounts for $289,640. This was anticipated for the 3 thickener tanks. If you're wondering what a thickener tank is at the wastewater plant, it is exactly what you think it is. If you want to see it, call me and I'll take you down.
No, I smelled it. Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Resolution number 2.
Approving the 3-year agreement with Assessment Administration Services LLC to provide assessing services for the city of Port Huron.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Pemberton,
Support.
second by Councilmember Mosrak. Discussion?
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council, before you is you have an innovative cost solution that I think our taxpayers want us to always explore. So our assessor recently left for a different job, which is something I anticipated and was hopeful would vacate so I could deploy something like this. We would still maintain our current reduced level of assessing staff within our assessing department to do all the day-to-day customer service there. This would provide services for when we need that level 4 assessor to complete tasks that the level 4 assessor does, such as certifying the tax roll, the board review, maintaining and supervise assessment rules, process lot splits and combos and audits. Those are the limited tasks that assessor 4 would need to do. There's no reason for us to hire a full-time assessor when we can contract those specific services out. So this will save us in total $169,478 over the course of the 3-year agreement for this firm to come in 2 days a week and provide these services. This is what so many communities across the region are already deploying. For instance, Auburn Hills works with this company. They speak remarkably highly of this firm. They do an excellent job, and they tell me that they actually see an enhancement in customer service because you have higher level of sophistication, higher level of experiences in the firm to better serve our community. And so I thank Bill from the firm for being here tonight. He comes very highly regarded. So not only do we believe that we're going to be able to deploy better level of customer service to our residents, we're going to be able to save $169,000 over the course of this agreement as well. And when I tell you every time we have a position open, these are the innovative reforms and solutions that we're always looking for to save cost savings.
Okay, that's it. Roll call.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Resolution number 3.
Authorizing and approving the submission of the annual action plan for program year 2026 to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for their review and approval.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald and supported by Councilmember Lamb. Discussion? No discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Resolution number 4.
Receiving the proposed 2026-2027 budget and scheduling a public hearing for May 11th, 2026 to hear public comments from interested citizens on the proposed budget.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Lamb and supported by
Support.
Councilmember Mosrak. Any discussion on that?
Yes. Madam Mayor and Council, under the city charter and the state constitution, this is a constitutional mandate. I have to provide you with a balanced budget, which I have done. To the citizens of Port Huron, tomorrow morning by 11 a.m., if you go to www.porthuron.org/open-government, you can download a copy of the proposed budget. Additionally, the line item budget. So for those of you who want to go through and find out exactly how much I make and how much I spend on staples, you can do that. You can also download the 6-year capital improvement plan, which is a living document, which is approved by the Planning Commission every year. What's interesting about the budget and the capital improvement plan is they are intertwined. So as you read the capital improvement plan, you can see throughout the budget how we show we're going to finance those capital improvements. And so they're kind of like 3 documents that go together. So if you're incredibly bored, make your way to porthuron.org/open-government and you can read the line item budget, the overview, and the 6-year capital improvement plan. I want to thank our Finance Director Lee Ward and our Deputy Director Bobby Seppo. They did an incredible job providing information. I want to thank the department heads. This was a very, very challenging year. In some years you have one pressure, I call it the lever, one lever you can control to address the budget. But just like so many families and the challenges that they face at their kitchen tables, we are not immune from those challenges. So inflation costs, utility cost, cost of living, wages for our employees, all the budgetary challenges that you face in your local kitchen table are the same ones we have to address. The only difference is we put a few more zeros behind the budget, but they're about the same principles and concept. And when we make our budget, it is the same basic math that you use at home. And so we're very proud to deliver a balanced budget that protects public safety, protects critical services and public services. There's no noticeable reductions in any type of service to our residents. So they will have that. The next up, we will get a work session with the mayor and council so we can do a deep dive, and that's always a jolly good time.
Okay. Jolly good time. Roll call.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Item K.
First reading, an ordinance to amend Chapter 48 Utilities, Article 4, Water and Sewer Service Charges of the Port Huron Code of Ordinances for the purpose of adding Section 48-155C, Sewer Readiness to Serve and Commodity Charges for customers who possess a valid National Pollutant Discharge Elimination Systems permit.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Pemberton, second by
Support?
Councilmember Lamb. In discussion.
Madam Mayor, this is specifically targeting industrial facilities that have their own wastewater plant and permit to discharge. Meaning, we should not be charging the full water and full sewer rates to somebody who's not using our sewer facility because they have their own wastewater treatment plant and permit. There is only one single user in the city of Port Huron that qualifies for this, and that's the old Domtar, which is now Legacy Paper. They have their own wastewater plant, they have their own discharge permit. So we should not be billing them same rate of sewer that we bill every other client because they are running their own wastewater plant. So for those businesses who maybe want to get a different rate, they'll have to build a massive wastewater plant, operate it, and get a discharge from it to qualify. But as of now, it's only one user in the city of Port Huron. And this is something I've worked with now for probably a year and a half with Legacy Paper to come to a more fair and equitable agreement.
Any questions on this? So this is not residential or anything, it's just that?
No.
Okay.
No, it'd be for high industrial users. And
Just high, okay.
again, they're not sending anything to our wastewater plant because they have their own wastewater plant and like 5 operators that operates 24/7 and they discharge as well.
I just didn't want any loopholes in our
Nope, I agree.
folks getting in harm's way. Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Okay, item L, we are public comment.
So our first speaker is Aiden.
Hello.
Hello.
I am a resident of Emmett, Michigan. I'm 23 years old, and before I begin, I'd like to answer fully the question to me from Mr. Freed before we began, and that's
Excuse-
none of this is
We
in
don't
the
ask-
jurisdiction.
Excuse me, we don't ask questions, you just present to us.
Okay. None of these proposed construction areas are in the jurisdiction of the city. I actually didn't understand that is the Port Huron Charter Township jurisdiction, but it is still vital to the residents of Port Huron as they traverse these areas. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have known Port Huron as a frequent destination for shopping, movie-going, great place to swim, and a great place to cycle some places. For the last several years, I've gladly received my education at St. Clair County Community College. It was in a lecture hall at the college last Thursday that I had the pleasure of shaking hands and holding a cord with City Councilwoman Barbara Payton. She and I discussed a critical infrastructure deficit here in Port Huron. Tonight, I've come to verbalize my opinion for all of you as well. While I want to stress that I believe Port Huron would benefit greatly from investments in bicycle-centric infrastructure all over the city, to me, there's a most critical challenge facing Port Huron. Quite possibly, one of the scariest things a cyclist can do is attempt to get into or out of this city from the Wadhams to Avoca Trail, which is part of a national bicycle route, National Bicycle Route 20. Drivers on the I-69 business loop, especially at the intersection with 28th Street, drive too quickly to make crossing over Oak and Griswold Street a safe or comfortable or reliable experience for any cyclists or walkers. Rather than impede drivers in this area, I would humbly suggest that the city, in collaboration with the township, investigate the area on the south side of the Oak-Griswold Street intersection there between 28th and 32nd Street for the formalization of a pedestrian lane that would completely circumvent the need for a cyclist to use the Griswold crossover. And these are pictured, and I'll discuss them briefly. Okay. The picture in the upper left is taken directly from Google Maps, data collected in 2026. This image shows a desire path, which, if you're unfamiliar, is a place where regular pedestrian traffic has worn a path into terrain that was not, but ought to have been designed to receive that traffic. And so my suggestion would be that the city construct or at least formalize a new path, at least spanning the length along the south side of the Oak-Griswold Street crossover intersection that would make it safe for both local and regional pedestrian traffic to cross into or out of the city. The area right next to the road is, I think, the jurisdiction of the Michigan Department of Transportation. I know collaboration can be difficult for something like this. The trail can be moved 5-10 yards inward to the CN, the railway yard there, which it is on the north end of. Would make no difference, probably be safer. This only helps them because as it stands, the Wadhams to Avoca Trail lands right next to the railroad, and that railroad goes right through their yard. Bancroft Street, I think it is. It used to be that ran through there, and it does not anymore. And so it's confusing for cyclists who go along the trail, and it ends them in a rail yard. And I don't think the rail yard really likes that. Anyways. Both the opportunity for regular exercise and the fresh, natural environment of the Wadhams to Avoca Trail, when juxtaposed with the built environment of the city, is exactly what would be attracting people of my demographic to residency here in the city. Thank you very much for hearing from me tonight.
And thank you.
Carol?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and city manager. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. First, I'd like to ask about the status of updates regarding the canal. Will you, Mr. Freed, be presenting at the Port Huron Township Board, similar to the update you recently provided in Fort Gratiot? If so, is there an anticipated time frame? Many township residents are very interested in understanding the progress and future plans, and direct communication would be greatly appreciated. Many of us are getting mixed messages, so this would help us. Second, I would like to address concerns related to the city's recreation department and recent programming pricing. Historically, surrounding townships have supported the annual dredging of the canal, and in return, residents benefited from more accessible recreation rates. Recently, however, residents, particularly in Fort Gratiot, have reported being charged significantly higher fees than expected when enrolling their children in summer programs. In some cases, they were directed back to their township offices for reimbursement of the difference. While I appreciate that township leadership has stepped up to support their residents, this situation raises an important question. What has changed in the partnership between the city and surrounding townships? And why have these costs increased so significantly? From discussions with township leadership, it appears that some townships are now being asked to absorb additional costs beyond what has historically been expected. This has created confusion for both the residents and the local officials, and it may discourage participation in programs that have long served the broader community. Most importantly, increased costs may prevent some children from participating, which is something we should all want to avoid. Finally, I'd like to speak to the broader importance of regional cooperation and public participation. The city of Port Huron serves as a central hub for the surrounding area. Many non-citizen residents work here, spend money here, and contribute to the vitality of this community, even while paying higher utility rates. For that reason, I respectfully ask the council to reconsider the structure of public comment. Having a single unified public comment period rather than separating speakers based on residency would send a strong message that all voices connected to this community are valued. It would promote transparency, reduce perceived division, and reinforce the collaboration relationships that benefit both the city and surrounding townships. My hope is that we can continue to move forward in a way that strengthens relationships between the city and neighboring township, and ensure transparency and partnerships, and keep opportunities accessible for all families. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Curtis?
Good evening, Curtis Carl, Port Huron Township. You ever felt like you're unwanted? I do. I think it started back when I was told to go back to my township after there were some untrue statements that were spoke about communication with my family pertaining to the Knowlton Ice Museum. Then we'll move on to the splitting of public comment, residents versus non-residents. Here I am, last person to speak, probably here again tonight. Doesn't feel like my voice is worthy of even being here. No we here. That was last meeting. That was a statement that struck a nerve with me. Even though I pay city income tax, there's no we here. My tax dollars are accepted, but my voice isn't wanted. Then there's this. We speak about the First Amendment and having the right of free speech. You have a public meeting here, you post the public meeting on your YouTube page, platform, whatever. That is to be posted uncut.
A really nice video saying everything's great, we just gotta backfill it a little bit more. $1,000 on a coffer gate to keep sand from coming in that project. Put out a really nice video saying everything's great, we just gotta backfill it a little bit more. $1,000 on a coffer gate.
All right. Y'all heard me say $1,000 here on this video, but if you were here last week, which y'all were, I stated $250,000. I missed that by $5,000 because it was stated in the Times Herald, and I will even bring that up, so I pulled it back up. February 6, 2025, filling, it was $255,000 put the cofferdam in. That's public record. Why would you chop my public comment to state $1,000? The same person that's going to tell you that it's a glitch is the same person that would have had that directive to the IT department to chop my video. That is a violation of my First Amendment right. It's against my moral compass to sue this city that I care for, that I was born in, that I spend my money in, that I work in, that I ride my bike in, that I go to the Prowlers game, I go to Casey's. I don't think I need to go on and on and on. This is concerning that somebody would have done such a maneuver, anything. There's so many things I could say about this. But respect is earned, and I don't respect somebody that would give the directive to have a glitch in our system, is what they will say. A very wise man told me today, a profitable businessman in the city of Port Huron that pays a lot of wages and takes care of a lot of families. That man told me that my bitching is falling on deaf ears. He's right. There's some of y'all that are listening. Some of y'all hear what I say, and I might even make you mad. But you know what? It's not right. I have the right to speak, to be heard, and my First Amendment right was violated. I was told to sue the city and win. To say that I'm not the smartest guy or I'm not the dumbest guy, that was a statement that was made last week by somebody up there, and you got some smart city workers, because one of your city workers told me that I should sue the city. You guys will settle out of court, and then I could donate that money back to fix the canal. But that's not going to happen. I'm done. Y'all, you're good.
All right, thank you.
Nice knowing y'all.
Mhm.
So our final speaker tonight is Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and I am a resident of Lakeport. And I'm not ready. Okay, sorry. I'm here today as a mother and a survivor, and a resident of St. Clair County. I'm asking you to take a serious look at how our local systems are failing women and children after abuse. We encourage women to report abuse, call the police, and speak up. And when we finally do, they are left traumatized, homeless, and on a waiting list. What should a path to safety becomes a continuation of control. Abusers are able to weaponize the legal system, especially in family court, to maintain power, avoid accountability, and financially destroy the very people they harmed. I know this because I lived it. I filed for a divorce after the third time, and I was assaulted and abused in my own home. And I called the police, and I filed a report, and still charges were dismissed because we were in the middle of a divorce proceedings. And it takes women a lot of courage to actually report things like that. And then once they do, you're just left traumatized, and no one does anything about it. And I'm still in the middle of a divorce after a year and almost a half. And my ex-husband and I owned a $1 million roof company, and he stopped working intentionally just to claim bankruptcy. And now he's back $18,000 in child support, and friend of the court just dismissed that too last week. So women are not being treated the way that we should be here. And stay-at-home moms, I've been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and I had to go to homeless shelters and food banks and soup kitchens to provide for my kids. while my ex just be's the Disneyland dad and does whatever he wants, living rent-free in our marital home that I was abused in. And he hasn't abided by any court orders at all, and no one has done a single thing, and it's been a year and a half. And luckily, I have gained financial independence, and I have a very good support system, and I have a family and a church and a lot of people in this community. And I'm not from here. I'm from Macomb County. And in Macomb County, if you're $5,000 behind in child support, you go to jail. This county is twisted. Something is wrong here. And I don't know who to talk to. I've called a lot of people. I have no idea what to do, but just wait and be patient, and that's all I hear. And it's very concerning. And I feel like that there should be more advocates in place for women like me. And there should be housing for women who leave abuse. And I don't know where to go or who to talk to start that. And I think it's a very important thing because I have support, but there is so many women in this county who do not have the support that I do. And they are forced to forfeit their children to the same person who abused them. And nobody seems to care here, and I don't understand why. And I love living here. I just don't love what's happening in the court systems. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sarah. That's it. Okay, well, that concludes our agenda, but we do have a few announcements that I have to read off here. It says, the first one is, the City Council routinely monitors our drinking water quality and annually provides to our customers the results through our Consumer Confidence Report, short CCR. The 2025 CCR is available online. You can go online. That's www.porthuron.org, CCR, and a link is printed on each water bill to provide direct access for viewing. If you are unable to receive this report online or for whatever reason would like us to deliver a paper copy to you, please call 810-984-9763. That number again is 810-984-9763, and one will be mailed to you. The second announcement here is the City of Port Huron has established a program to identify the material of all water services in the water distribution network in accordance with the lead and copper provisions of the Michigan Safe Drinking Water Act. The Department of Public Works uses a variety of methods to expose the service for material identification on the exterior, commonly at the curb stop box located between the sidewalk and the curb and gutter. Part of the water service materials identification program requires identifying the water service that enters the building, as it may be different from the exterior. For this location, we are asking residents to self-report the water service materials where it enters the building if they have not done so already. A self-report form is available online at Safe Drinking Water Assurance Self-Reporting Program. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we did receive something in the mail, residents did, throughout the city, so you should have this. Again, these are two very important announcements that we'd like you to adhere to. Is there any more?
Mayor Ashford?
Yes.
I just would like to thank James Freed for talking about the crosswalks, especially around the schools, because I'm pretty passionate about a certain program that I'd like to implement with the city, and I've been speaking with Mayor Pro Tem Archibald and James Freed about having the schools create their own design for the crosswalks so the kids can be part of painting the crosswalks and designing them. So I hope that we can move forward with that. So thank you.
Yes.
I just want to note to the public about the rec programming. We have had a long-standing agreement with the townships. There has always been a resident and non-resident rate. In Fort Gratiot and Port Huron Township, we would bill the difference directly to the township. So say a class was $100 for a resident and $200 for a non-resident. If you lived in Port Huron Township, we would send the township a bill for the remaining $100, and they would pay the difference. The reason why that has changed for Fort Gratiot is Fort Gratiot has refused to pay their delinquent bills. So they made the decision not to pay their bills from last year. So the city of Port Huron can't eat those costs for residents who don't live here and don't pay taxes here. So we are now having to drill, for Fort Gratiot residents, we will bill those residents directly for, just as if they were paying it. But for Port Huron Township, it will go the exact same way as it always has. I spoke with the township supervisor in Fort Gratiot. They still haven't paid their delinquent bills, and my job is to build a recreation program for the residents of Port Huron. It is a privilege that we allow people who don't live here to come and use our facilities and be a part of our programming, and we love that they do. It helps us bring in better quality program through economies of scale. So it's a very good partnership. And so that's the only difference for Fort Gratiot residents, and that was a decision that their board and their supervisor made. As for, again, it's comical, every week we have a false accusation. We have never edited a city council meeting to ever edit anyone's public comment. That has never happened and did not happen. We reviewed the video with our legal counsel after the accusation was made earlier this week. No such editing has ever done. We would never do that. And so you're more than welcome to file a frivolous lawsuit. We get those a lot too, and we always win.
Did you have anything?
I just had a question, just out of curiosity, how delinquent, what's
They still haven't paid last year, so they have no intention of paying it.
Okay.
So we're going to eat those costs from last year.
But it'd be something, if they did caught up, we could maybe look at the following year, but we have to balance the budget, right?
Fort Gratiot is not interested in paying what the real costs are. So they would rather pass it on to their residents directly. And that's what we were informed, and that's the direction we're moving.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay. Anything else come before the city council? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Meeting adjourned.